Today we're talking about the Ironman World Championships in St. George, Utah. We'll quickly talk about the course. We'll talk about who's not going to be there, which might be the story of the day. But then I want to talk about my own personal picks for the top 3 men and the top 3 women at the race. And just like in years past, I'll also drop one kind of like fun dark horse option. And also, just like in years past, you guys get to participate just by commenting below with both your men's and women's picks. And if you do better than me, I will mail you some just fun swim, bike, run, rinse, repeat stickers anywhere in the world. Okay, so this is the first time that the Ironman World Championships has been held somewhere other than Hawaii. The race first took place in Oahu before moving to Kona in 1982. But because of the pandemic, Hawaii wasn't gonna allow the race to happen last October or last February. And finally, Ironman ended up settling on St. George, Utah, but instead of February, it was moved to this upcoming weekend, May 7th. Now the swim will take place in Sand Hollow Reserve. The water should be pretty cold, maybe like 60 degrees or so. Obviously, that's gonna be wetsuit legal, unlike traditionally what we've seen in Kona. Also, unlike Kona, the course has some, pretty harsh hills. The course has, about 6,000 feet of climbing, and it can be extremely windy out there. So I think that'll be kind of interesting to see how the weather plays into part on race day. Honestly, I don't want to see these kind of pro triathletes descending mountaintop descents, just going crazy hard with crazy wind on time trial bikes. But the run course is a long out and back. It's run twice. And in all honesty, I think that this is where the race is gonna happen. I think that, a lot of athletes are just gonna, bury themselves on the bike, and then the winner will just kind of come out somewhere along that run, someone who has been conservative along the way. Now, remember, all of this is also taking place at 4,000 feet of elevation, which isn't massive, but it's definitely not sea level. So, I don't expect, super fast race performances, but, we'll just see how it goes. Now, the race is still pretty far out, but as of the recording of this video, the weather is predicted to be hot and windy. So, I do expect that to play a factor in the race. I'd say, no matter what, these athletes are definitely gonna be, faced with some dehydration issues over the course of like an 8-hour period. So, while I think that the weather might be one of the big race stories of the day, I also think, all of these big athletes that aren't even starting this race might be another big story of the day. Now, on the women's side, we're missing Lucy Charles-Barclay, who I honestly thought was like a shoo-in to win this year. She was super fit at the end of last year. I actually think that she has, some sort of stress reaction or something like that going on in her hip area. So hopefully, she'll be on the mend and we'll see her again in Kona in October. And then, once Lucy was announced that she wasn't racing, plus the fact that Daniela Ryf just, has been off lately, I immediately thought Laura Philipp from Germany would have, come out here and won her first Ironman World Championships. But she recently announced that she's been sick and she will be unable to race. Also, Flora Duffy, Sarah Crowley, Marinda Carfrey, all are out of the race for this coming weekend. On the men's side, Jan Frodeno announced that he's been having Achilles issues recently. I can totally relate, Jan, but he won't be racing. Javier Gomez is also out, and he recently had COVID, and I also think that that's the same issue for Joe Skipper. So, with all of these big athletes out of the race, who do I think will win? Well, let's start with the women here. And I really have no idea here. It's honestly gonna be super easy for you guys to beat my predictions, but I'm gonna put Heather Jackson for third. I think it's gonna be a hard day for everyone out there, but if she can just be patient and then, really rely on that run to bring her back into the race, I do think that she can work her way all the way up onto the podium. And second, I'm putting Annie Haug here. You know, she's not the fastest swimmer or biker, but again, I think it's gonna come down to the run. And, you know, she's a phenomenal runner. I think she's gonna be passing people all day in that marathon. Now to win, you know, I'm putting Daniela Reef, and yes, I know, she's definitely been having a hard year, but, you know, the girl has proven that when she is on, she is unbeatable. And I can't even imagine how many of you guys are disagreeing with me right now after seeing her race at Oceanside, California just a few weeks ago. But I do think that she's still got one of those big wins left in her. Now for my dark horse, I'm gonna put Sky Minch. She's a young American, and I think she's got a ton of potential going forwards. Moving on to the guys' side, I've got Ben Hoffman in third place, and I think Ben gets overlooked a lot. He's actually really one of the top athletes in the world. He's a great runner, and I think his lightweight build should serve him pretty well on this pretty hilly course. Now in second place, I'm putting Christian Blumenfeld, the Olympic gold medalist from Norway, and in first place, probably not a huge surprise, I'm putting Christian's training partner, Gustav Iden. And, you know, these two Norwegians are just, you know, so much better than everyone else in the world right now. It's absolutely ridiculous. Now, if I had to guess, I would expect, you know, both of these guys to be comfortably in the front of the race the entire day, maybe alongside with some other athletes like Alistair Brownlee. But unlike Alistair, I just don't think that these guys are gonna have a hard time with the running pace on a hot day. And they just have the option to be very patient up at the front of the race, which I just don't see happening from anyone else. You know, I could also imagine someone like Cam Wurf charging to the front of the race on the bike. But again, you know, I think it's gonna come down to the running race, and I think Cam will struggle with the hills and the heat. Now, I'm picking Gustav to beat Christian just because his body type is maybe just a little bit better to handle the heat and the hills, but we'll see. You know, they're both super tough. And for my dark horse pick, I'll put Matt Hansen, you know, another American. Obviously, you guys can tell that I'm super biased towards American athletes, but he's a super strong runner, and, you know, we'll see how it goes. Some of you guys are probably saying, like, what about Sam Long? What about Lionel Sanders? I know you guys like these two athletes, but both Sam Long and Lionel Sanders are going to be pretty far back as far as the swim goes. They'll both be able to kind of work their way up the field on the bike. I actually think that either of them could work their way all the way up to the podium, but I also think that they will both kind of like fry themselves a bit on those massive climbs with the bike just kind of being in the back and wanting to be towards the front. And I might be reading into this the wrong way, but it always feels like Lionel Sanders just puts way too much pressure on himself, which is fine. It's just hard when these races get really, really long. And this race is definitely gonna reward someone who's kind of like the most patient on the day. Okay, I know that you guys disagree with some of my picks. Drop your men's and women's podium predictions below in the comment section of this video before May 7th. And feel free to, you know, add a dark horse pick if you would like. I think it's kind of fun. If your picks are better than mine, and I'm sure they will be, I will mail you some really fun swim, bike, run, rinse, repeat stickers, free of charge anywhere in the world. And I'll put more details about the giveaway in the description of this video. But after the race, I'll go through the comments section and I'll just kind of hit you guys up to get your address through something like Instagram private messaging. And I do this every year, and every year you guys do so much better than I do. So I really do hope that you'll kind of consider playing along. Either way, get out there, swim, bike, run, rinse, and then repeat it all over again. And we will see you guys on the next one.